am very excited. This is our first dozen quail eggs that we got from our Coturnix quail. Most people get into quail farming just for the meat. They don't realize just how much money there is in everything else. They want the quickest profit for the least amount of money. So they don't even want to take the time to wait until their other quail are laying. They just save a few quail enough to make more quail, and they'll just butcher the rest. So yeah, that does get your money the quickest, but you're missing out on the egg profit. There's a huge profit in quail eggs. Quail are much more easy keepers, much more economical to feed, and their eggs are worth more, especially if you have free range. Now, this is a temporary setup we have, obviously. It's not their permanent aviary, but it does qualify for free range. Most people keep quail in a tiny little box, very inhumane box, their entire lives, just so that they can house more of them in the space that they have. But I think a tiny little box, is just cruel. And a lot of people don't want to buy nowadays, don't want to buy something that they know is inhumane. So there's a lot of benefits even to just having a bigger free-range setup. Yeah, it might cost you a little more in the beginning, but in the long run it won't, because you can charge a lot more. The benefit of quail eggs is unlike pretty much any other egg, as far as they have a lot more vitamins, nutrients, antioxidants, and actually a long time ago, ancient civilizations used to use them for anything from the common cold to infections to, other diseases and things. Now, that isn't to say it works, because there's no scientific study on that that confirms it, but it is said to help boost immunity, and it's made with a different kind of fat than chicken eggs. So the kind of fat in quail eggs is typically easier for people to digest, especially if you are one of those people that can't digest the real greasy kind of fat. Quail eggs are very lean, and they're not greasy at all compared to chicken eggs. So it's packed full of nutrients and protein and pretty much everything. For such a tiny little egg, and pound per pound, has so much more nutrients. And for that reason, on top of the fact that they're just hard to find in stores and things, they are pretty pricey. So you have a lot less cost in quail, yet they make you more money than chickens. Why not wait a little longer until they start laying eggs and sell the eggs too? I don't know. But most people just don't want to take that extra time, don't want to take that extra step. They definitely don't want to do free range, because that's even more work. But at the end of the day, your profit is still soaring compared to chickens. And we still get it. Most of these quail, we hardly ever butcher. The only time we butcher is when someone is really, really mean and aggressive. And we get enough money just on eggs alone, the free range eggs that we sell. And I should have done this sooner, because they're really no harder to raise than chickens. Everyone says they are, but they're not. They're really not. You just have to have a basic knowledge of what you need for quail. We raised all of these from eggs. So we went, and had them in the brooder, and they really weren't that hard to care for in the brooder either, like people say they are. And when they get big, they're even easier. I think when they get full grown, they're even easier than the babies. The only downside is that they don't have a homing instinct, so you do need an enclosed area if you are going to let them free range. Otherwise, they get lost or eaten or something. The other good thing about quail is that if you do have an aviary, they can go in with all sorts of other birds, because they are so peaceful. They really don't bother other birds much. Now, that being said, you can't put aggressive birds in with them, because they would really get picked on. But if you're getting them more for the sentimental reasons, you know, like a pasture pet, an aviary, they're actually very easy to tame too. So, you know, they may not like being held, but they can tolerate being petted. They eat out of your hand if you domesticate them and really get them used to people. But, you know, we have you may have seen earlier in the video, I don't know if I think she was earlier in the video, we have a pigeon with these quail, and they get along great with the pigeon. And there's so many different colors that they come in, too. Very fun to watch, and they're not loud at all. You know, even the roosters, very, very quiet compared to chickens and chicken roosters. So, all sorts of fun. And I don't even have that many colors in here. I have that one gray one gray and white one that just darted past. You've got, you know, probably 4 different kinds of colors in this, and it's starting to get dusk, so I do apologize for the video, the lighting in the video, but there's like 10 different kinds of colors at least, and they're all very pretty. Even the wild type coloration is to me very pretty. Now most of these are jumbo Coturnix. They'll lay slightly bigger eggs, and the jumbos actually tend to be a lot cheaper than some of these fancy colored ones. So if you're looking at it for profit-wise, those jumbos are probably your best bet, although those really fancy colored ones make for a really cool addition to the aviary. There's our pigeon. She's already going to bed because she does have a homing instinct. I'll have to pick these guys up and put them in there because they won't go in on their own. You do need some kind of hutch, because if you didn't have that, predators would get to them at night. But, you know, like I said, it's no more difficult than chickens. Gives you more money. I don't know what the deal is about people not taking the incentive to have free range, have humane quail, and, you know, think a little beyond just for meat and into eggs and other uses. You can even sell their feathers for fly tying. There's so many different things that you could, again, that doesn't make nearly as much money as the eggs or the meat, but why so narrow-minded, I don't know, especially because it's so easy.